Thank you, everyone, for coming. Anthony, start off the show. Introduce yourself.
Guys, Anthony Angelillo, branch manager, operating owner of this wonderful branch that's like an icebox right now, Paramount Residential Mortgage Group over here in Miami Shores. I also CEO, founder of Tag Team Nation Marketing Company. I've been doing this about 17 years, and we designed a roadmap to home ownership that Dana and I believe Angie and I believe Marilyn have, all of their clients have entered this roadmap. What we do is we do systems, guys. We're all about systems and mortgages, and those come together in our work field. The roadmap to home ownership obviously gets anybody a loan, and I don't want to hear that their credit's bad or they don't have enough funds or not enough down payment. There's always a way to make a deal work, and that's what we do, and that's how damage control came up. And Melinda and I obviously started this back in February, and here we are in episode 18. All of this will be pushed to YouTube, which is crazy to think about that right now. 18 episodes later, and now we're still grinding and offering all of this content to you guys, real estate agents and lenders, loan officers, title agents, anyone in the business. But being that I've done this so long, it's funny. I'll leave it off with this. Yesterday, I contacted a lead, and because I was training my sales team, and I said, guys, we get so much leads that come in here, and one call, one lead converted right there on the spot. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, the kid still has it in him. I can still convert with the best of them. So the bottom line is that it's all studying, it's mastering your craft. It's like working out. You need to understand how to deal with objections, how to overcome objections, and it's consistency and really doing the work, and it shows. You know, Melinda's talking to you guys about recruiting. She's growing. We're having a record-breaking month. We're massively growing with automation, and it just keeps adapting, and that's the beautiful thing about our business. But that being said, I'll leave it to Melinda.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. So I'm Melinda Grimaldi. For all our new people joining or people that are watching live, and I'm a real estate attorney, and we help people close their deals, right? So we love closing deals, right? Coffee is for closers. Ching. So today we're talking about a very cool topic. We're talking about virtual marketing and virtual networking, not virtual marketing. Let's scratch that. Virtual networking, right? So I wanted to bring this up because there's some people who are doing it very well, and there's some people who are not doing it at all, or just doing it a little here, a little there. So I want to remind people that even though we're not doing events, we're not going and meeting people one-on-one, having coffee, going to networking events, there's still ways to network and promote your business, and it's super important. And damage control is a way that Anthony and I have continued to promote our businesses through virtually, which was that we started it before all this coronavirus stuff started. But it definitely helped us be the first ones with a virtual, platform going into that, because we already had it set up from before. And using the virtual tools to network and do business development is a great way to maximize your time. So we'll talk about all the different ways that we've used it, and from our very, very special guest today. I'm so happy to introduce Lauren. She wears many hats, even the one that she's wearing right now. I'll let her tell you all the hats she wears, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty as to why we invited her.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to meet all of you. My name is Lauren Marsicano, the networking maverick, also the owner of Marsicano and Leyva, your business and family law attorneys, and recently the new founder of the new nonprofit Women for Success that helps women define success on their own terms. So I do wear a lot of hats, and I'm also a new wife. We got married in January, so
congrats.
So many more hats to put on.
Listen, you're lucky you got married in January, because 2 months later you might not have had a wedding.
Do you know that we had to cancel like our honeymoon or whatever, but we are so happy. 2 years of planning. I can't imagine. I had clients come to me because of the pandemic talking about how to, deal with the contracts they had with venues and stuff. And, 2 years of planning down the drain, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I know some friends and family friends that had to cancel or postpone their weddings because of that. So,
Yep.
but let's talk about the good stuff, right? Let's talk about a lot of good things have come out of quarantine, I think. And you launched your nonprofit, right? So tell us a little bit about that. That's awesome.
Yes, well, so I'm just a serial entrepreneur, probably like many of us here. I can never just stay not busy. So I just throw more things on. It's
Yeah.
essentially, it stems from, originally we launched our law firm 4 years ago, and we made 6 figures our first year, doubled it our second year, and that's why I started Networking Maverick, to help people, especially women. I still love the kings, but I talk to the queens mostly. But I love the kings too. And so that's part of my niche. I niche to women, and especially women business owners. And that's how Networking Maverick started. It actually started as a way so I could reach more women business owners, which were my target market for my business law firm side. And then it grew into its own beast and became its own company, where then I hosted live events. And then people were still like, but what else can we do? You know, why don't we give scholarships and grants to women and free events and bring people together? And I was like, perfect, Women for Success nonprofit. Let's just bring in another leg, another stream in order to reach people. And that's more of like the giving back, because that's what gives me life. Like, how can I just help and uplift more people?
Awesome.
And that's part of it. So Women for Success just launched right now. It was officially approved as a 501c3 in June, and the whole May was a fundraiser for launching it and fundraising and everything. So it's been great.
That's so awesome. I love that. I love the idea. I love the mission. So
How did you launch it during all of this? Like, was it obviously different compared to launching it without COVID? How was that?
So it was interesting. We were originally going to do a launch event in August of this year. So we originally were working on it for about, I would say 4 or 5 months in planning, even before COVID happened. And we were going to do a Fashion for a Cause launch event in August. And we were going to do it at a place down here in Miami and blah, blah, blah. COVID happened, super busy helping people. And then more and more people were saying how small businesses were at risk, because small businesses were closing down, and especially women who were like mompreneurs needed support. So my idea was we're at this time where we could do virtual conferences. We can highlight people in the community. We can get sponsors that come together and then provide the scholarship grants. And people were super excited about it. I forget, maybe like 30 sponsors for the event, or 20 something sponsors for the event. So people were really, really supportive. We made it very low cost, like $30 for a month-long event that went to the nonprofit. We were giving tons of value in education. So it actually made it, I think, a little easier, because the pressure wasn't on putting together a huge event at a venue where then we have to get the alcohol and the food and then connecting, and then worry about, oh my God, are the costs going to outweigh whatever we're going to raise? You know, do we have to do a silent auction that we have to get all, it was just, that planning would have taken 6 months, where once COVID happened, within 30 days, we had the event. Wow. So we planned everything within 30 days.
That's the way to do it, man. I tell you.
It was awesome.
You know,
it was great.
I'm loving, you know, there's a value and a beauty to these in-person events, of course, and I love it and I miss them. But one of the reasons why Damage Control started was because Anthony and I were doing so many of our own live events and trainings, and it takes up a lot of time, and it was just pulling us away like a lot. It was pulling us away from our businesses and from other things that were happening. So we said, you know, it would be so cool to do something digital. You know, so in conclusion, I love the ability to have this option, and I think there's a lot of ways we can utilize it. So let's talk about how an average business owner can go ahead and promote their businesses, and but not in a sales or marketing perspective, but how can you, like, when you go to an event, you're meeting people, you're networking, you're finding new contacts, you're introducing people to other people. That's like the purpose of networking, right? To make connections that eventually will benefit your business. Whether it's one-on-one, 5-on-1, you know, like a small group, a big event, you know. So how can people, any tips on converting the business development strategies of these events and meetings to something virtual?
Yeah, of course. I mean, tons of things. I could speak for literally hours about this, but the main purpose, I think, of networking is for connections, right? And whether those connections convert, you know, quote unquote, convert or close, I think isn't as important as that the connection you make is valuable and maybe then introduces you to another person that you close, right? You have to have a net. And I think a lot of people think that their net needs to be super wide. So for instance, realtors and real estate, people are like, everyone needs a house. I'm going to market to everyone. That is the death of your business. How many realtors are out there? How many lawyers are there? If I was just like, everyone needs a lawyer, like you're then marketing to no one, right? You're not actually niching out. So the first thing you need to do is know your brand identity and who your target market is and who your target market's target market is, because those are the events you're going to want to go to. So I actually dropped a link to the Networking Maverick Pocket Guide in the chat, and I would suggest everyone at the end of this, once the chat is done and the questions are done, you can actually click on the triple dots next to your name in the chat where it says like to everyone file and the triple dots, and you can actually save the chat at the end. And I would encourage everyone right now to drop links to all your Instagram or your Facebook, however we can connect with you, because the easiest way to follow up is for you to help us. Drop your links, right? That's the easiest way for us to connect, is to help me help you. Help us. If it's a LinkedIn, whatever your preferred way to connect, drop that link and then we can all save it at the end. So that's number one. Just connections already happening. Boom. But I'm all about.
Oh, bam!
Boom, bam! What's up? So I'm all about, so you've heard the ABC, always be closing, right? Always be closing, ABC. Closing is for, champagne's for closers, coffee's for closers, which it is. Champagne, scotch, whatever you want, that's for closers. But I would encourage you to think of ABC as always be connecting, right? So you want to always be connecting with your audience, connecting with your target market, and finding unique ways to reach them. So the most important way, yes, and I see people dropping links, amazing, keep dropping those links, let's connect with each other. Always be connecting, there you go. The easiest way to differentiate yourself in a market, in a sea of people, so especially real estate, lawyers, whatever you're in, where you can just throw a shoe in Miami and hit one, is to add value. You need to constantly be adding value to your audience, especially now with Zoom fatigue, where people are like, oh, another Zoom. I mean, you can see all these people on here that don't even have their video on, because it mentally actually it's exhausting. It's actually true. They've had like psychological studies at this point where they say, wow, when you have to be on video in this where I can see everyone, I'm constantly looking, does my hair look great? Does my face look great? Is my hat twisted? Oh my God, do I have something on my teeth? Right? It's exhausting to be on for an hour or 2 hours, however long your event is. It's happening with lawyers in the courtroom, where before we used to be able to like sit in the back and the judge didn't care, but now the judge can be looking at you on your Zoom hearings. So people are getting fatigued. So the best thing you can do for yourself and for those people is to constantly be adding value, because those are the people that are going to keep showing up because you're adding value to them. And I think it's Gary Vee that always talks about the give, get. BNI talks about giver's gain. It's all the same thing. If you boil it down, it's adding value, and that's going to differentiate you in this market right now, because you have a lot of people selling at you, right? The closing mentality, like what can I get you? What's this? Do you need a mansion, or do you just need a one bedroom? No, like take the time to get to know your market. And that's why in the Networking Maverick Pocket Guide, it goes through the 5 steps that you should do, whether it's an in-person event, an online event. I think digital is here to stay at this point. There'll probably be hybrid events. There'll be live events again. But I think digital events, people are seeing how easy it is to set up, how easy it is to launch, and almost next to no money. Like the real money investment is like if you're marketing it, you're paying for ads or your time, right? But
yeah. or like a paid Zoom account to really host the like, you know what I mean, for those upper level things.
Right.
It's so inexpensive.
$15 a month or whatever it is. Yeah. So the investment's minimal, and it goes through the 5 steps, which is identify, research, plan, show up, and follow up, which we'll probably talk about during the questions, but it's in that pocket guide, and we can go through goal setting and planning. But the whole purpose is to really refine your net. Don't make your net so big that fish can swim through it. You want the whale, right? But that's not always what you need. What you need are nets that are actually going to bring you the best connections. That's how you're going to convert your network into net worth and make it work for you. So that's
awesome.
all. That's all
so once we know what the target is, what type of things should they be doing at this point? Should we be doing? Is it, or is it a hybrid of everything? What do you
it's
think?
A hybrid. You got to know what works for you and your personality. So for instance, not every lawyer is like me. Right? Not every lawyer looks fashionable and fabulous and is going to show up in a hat and sing on Zooms, right? That's just So you got to know what works for you. So I love in person and Zooms, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love because I feel like where I shine is my personality. I think my authentic self and who I am. And let me remind everyone, who you are is enough. Surviving this quarantine and COVID is enough. So first of all, congratulations for that.
Yeah.
But let your authentic personality shine through in whatever way is comfortable for you. So whether that's attending small intimate dinners, right? Those are some of my favorite networking events where if you really target it and you know who's going and you've targeted
Yes.
it well, those intimate dinners actually usually get you someone. I'm not saying they're going to be your client, but they're going to be your next best connection to the clients you want. Right. And so when I say know your target market, you need to know your target market. The easiest way to find out who your target market likes is to go on their profiles online. Everything is online. You can, I'm not advising stalking, #lawyer. This is not, I'm not advising stalking people, but you can look up their information, see what they're liking on Facebook, see what they're liking on Instagram, what events are they going to? And if they're a business, especially, or someone in business like real estate, you can see who they are going to. So like, for instance, if you're a real estate agent that really believes in the environment, you're probably going to get a lot of environmental people because you niched environmental regulations and you niched, the solar panels and where's the best place to have that and where's an eco-friendly area in Miami, and you niched out for environmentalists. So all the environmentalists are coming to you. And if you're my best referral for my business, right, if you're going to be my best connection, I'm going to start going to environmental events because I know that's where you're going. So you should research where your target market is going. And I think that's something that people don't do really enough. And especially with online, it's so easy.
Yeah.
So
go
let me
ahead.
ask one question here. So you talk about value, okay? You're talking about target market and you're talking about adding content to the value. How do you define one's niche? If I know mine, I'm all numbers, and I mine is core products, conventional VA, FHA, USDA, nothing outside of that wheelhouse. The margins there in terms of profitability, and not only that, we can give back more to the community with those targeted programs, foreign nationals, other things like that in terms of programs. Not our cup of tea. I always say we're a brain surgeon, versus a heart surgeon. How does one define that? I think that's the hardest part for a real estate agent or a loan officer or anyone in the business. How does one define that? And how would you recommend them to really sit down and analyze that?
Well, so I guess it's twofold. So one, if you've already been in real estate for a year or a couple years, I would encourage you to sit down and make a list, right?
Okay.
Because you've already had experience. So sit down and make a list of who your top sales have been, 5 or 10. I don't know how many sales, on average you had in a year, but let's say you had 5 to 10. Make a list of those 5 to 10 sales. And then next to those names, think about how you got connected with them. Was it from your online promotion? Was it from a friend of a friend? Did they get connected through a referral? Did they see you online? Did they see you at an event? Whatever. Write down how you found each of those clients and then keep going from there. And I guarantee you go back enough, 2 or 3, you're going to find that there's commonalities that, everyone actually really loved this YouTube series that I was a part of, or everyone really loved when I spoke at this event. So I should do more of those type of events. And you'll be able to find your niche if you're able to do that exercise, right? It takes a little bit of time to go down. And sometimes you might even want to reach back out to those people because maybe you didn't even know where they came from. And it's a great opportunity to reach back out. Be like, hey, how's the house? How's it going? How are your kids? How's the dog? Whatever. Maintain that connection and just casually bring up to them, I was thinking the other day, I never found out how we even got connected. Was it from like an ad? Was it from a friend? Whatever. And it's just a nice conversation starter. So that's one way to do it. Now, if you have zero experience of being a real estate agent, I'm focusing on real estate because that's, who we're talking to today. It's different for every category, I would say. But if you have no experience and you're just starting out in real estate, I encourage you to think about what you're passionate about. So for instance, if you're really passionate about animals and wildlife, maybe you should focus on people in those spaces, because you're authentically going to be happier, more engaging. You're going to come across as a more authentic and passionate person at those events than you would if you were like, oh, you know what, I gotta meet billionaires, and I'm going to go to this billionaire event. Well, first of all, congratulations for getting invited, but I'm going to go to this event that I don't really care about. No, you're not going to shine. Even if you can turn it on, it's not necessarily going to come across as best, but you can do a lot of online events geared toward wildlife, charities, Zooms, that are geared toward, pets and animals and supporting that community. And once you make a name for yourself by adding value to that community, people will see you and they'll say, wow, Lauren is just so great with animals, and I love animals too. I should have coffee with her, and then we're going to have coffee together, and then we're going to bond over dogs. I don't have a dog now, but I love dogs. I'm allergic to cats, but I like them. My husband's a cat person, so we can relate. But you just start developing those relationships. And for me, the biggest thing that I learned growing up, I moved 15 times around the country. My dad ran hotels and resorts, and so I was constantly in different states, different cities. Even when I got older, I moved into different countries, and I've lived abroad several times. So I'm very comfortable getting outside of my comfort zone. And I encourage you all to do that as well. And the best way to do it is to make yourself feel a little comfortable by finding commonalities. Finding people where you have at least one commonality. And that's why I'm saying follow your passion. And I think that would probably end up being your niche, at least a starting niche.
Got it. You answered that tenfold. Thank you.
I love that. So you mentioned you're going to go to an event or a charity or a Zoom, and you find people that you had those similarities with, and that you or they will follow up and have that coffee meeting. But obviously people aren't really doing coffee meetings the same way that we used to, right? So I've tried my best to do virtual coffee meetings, and I started with checking in with my current referral sources and clients that way. And, just to check in and see how people are doing. Right. And versus over and above, the work that we're doing together, let's just say, how are you? And so that's the goal that I had. And I did that through Zoom with a calendar link, sending it out and inviting people for coffee every so often. So is that, obviously that's one option. Do you have any other options or ways people can connect nowadays?
Well, I love that. And I think having systems, I think you mentioned systems at the beginning, how systems are really helping your business. I would encourage everyone to research systems. There's things like Calendly that makes it really easy to just send someone a link where you pre-approve dates and times, and you can have coffees or whatever. So that's one thing.
Yeah, that's what we
ways to connect. So I've seen some really creative ways people are continually not necessarily engaging with new clients and new referrals, but how they've been engaging with past clients. So for me, what I like to do is I have clients in different areas. So I have one client that does flowers and floral arrangements, and I use her to send gifts to clients when they have big wins. Right. And she's very good because I send her a list of the person's personalities and what they do in their website, and she researches them and puts together a bouquet and maybe champagne or bubbly or coffee or chocolate that matches that person's personality. And that's going to go a lot further with retaining clients, because we all know, or most of us know, retaining a client is 7 to 10 times, depending on what statistics you're looking at, more valuable for your dollar than it is hunting new prospects. Right. And I think especially during COVID, when you locked down, it was important for people to check in with their community, check in with their clients, check in with people that have been their referral sources. Because again, when I say clients, it's kind of loose. It's also your referral sources and connections, because those are the people that are going to help you expand your network and turn it into net worth. But so that's a really creative way to keep engaging with people. I've also seen people, I haven't done this because I'm one of the people that is very scared of getting it. I have a huge fear of death, and I got pneumonia a bunch growing up. So I'm very in the category of risk. And I heard it's actually affecting obese people. And I was like, no, not my curvy queens like me. So now I'm even more scared. But I have heard some people doing some fun things because I guess it's said in all the science that's going back and forth that being outside in the sun actually can help decrease the potential spread. So if you're wearing masks and you're outside in the sun, it's okay. So I've seen people that go to picnic areas where they clean down, they bring their Clorox and Lysol wipes, and then they have a table in between them, and they play a game like Heads Up, or they play a game on their phone, but they're with each other, so they're maintaining the connection. I don't know if you guys have seen the blow up kayaks. I have one, have not used it, but I purchased it with the intent that I will get out of my apartment and go kayaking. But that's a really fun way, because once you're on the water, if each of the couples or each of the people has a kayak, you're probably going to be at least 6 feet apart on the open
Right.
in the sun. So you just have to get a little creative.
Speaking of kayaking, my husband and I tried it once. Literally, we were going in different directions. So it's like crazy. So the other day we were talking about going to this park that had the kayaks. I'm like, yeah, we should go with the kids. And then you'll row one way and then I'll row the other way. And then we'll be staying in the same position. It's like crazy. So yeah, that could be good for some people. Probably not for us. But yes, there's a lot of very good ways to be outside and still, be safe and do things. And some people are starting to go out for like a lunch or things, which can be good depending on your comfort level and where you go. Some restaurants are doing a great job at keeping things super clean.
Some of them are super,
like we went to Houston's last month, and they did an amazing job at keeping people spaced out, at making sure people keep their masks on in between or when you go to the bathroom or whatever. Paper, everything, super. So I think I would actually feel comfortable going there again, because it was really good. It was a good place. But like I said, everyone has different comfort levels. And see, like, what do you think about these virtual happy hours? How do you feel?
Oh yeah. I love them. I love
it.
I mean, so for me, I have different streams of connections and like potential connections and clients. So one of my streams is actually the Scotch and Whiskey Society 305. They're like a networking group that puts on events, and Bianca, the Scotch girl, is very into women in whiskey, which I am obviously into women that love whiskey and business. And so that's been a group I've been a part of since they started about 2 or 3 years ago. And so I'm all about virtual. I get invited to tons of cocktail hours with scotches and whiskeys and champagne. And actually one of my sponsors for the Women for Success nonprofit virtual conference was Babe Wine. I don't know if you ever heard of Babe Wine. It's sparkling wine in a can. And it's all bubbly. So the red, the Grigio, and the Rosé are all bubbly, which I've never even had red bubbly before, or Grigio bubbly. So they're delicious. But I got introduced to them because I'm within the alcohol, sphere of connections. And Babe is obviously, very women-centric.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah, I love virtual happy hours. So actually, Equiplaza is virtually yappy hours for people that love pets. There's stuff for everyone.
Yeah. So let's pretend if this was a virtual happy hour, and there's about 20 of us right now on here, and everyone's drinking their whiskey or their whatever. And so how do you take a connection? Let's say you just met, or how do you pull that connection out from this to something else?
Aha. Well, hopefully you've done steps 1 through 3 of the Networking Maverick Pocket Guide before you showed up at the event, which is identified your market, identified your target market, researched them, thought, hey, this event where we're having virtual tasting is great. And then you've planned ahead and said, I'm going to make 3 new connections. And you've maybe reached out to the organizers ahead of time to get a list of people involved, or you posted about it to see if anyone reposted. So then you can see, okay, I know at least Melinda, Anthony, and Lauren are going to be there. So those are going to be my 3 connections. That's going to be my realistic goal. And I researched them to see what we have in common. So what I'm going to do during the Zoom is, while we're sipping on wine and whatever, I'm going to private message you, and I'm going to be like, oh my God, I saw, you just had a cool closing at this house. I love that house. Congratulations. Coffee and scotches for closers, or whatever. And Anthony, if I looked up Anthony, I'd be like, oh my God, I love what you're doing with this podcast and your launch. I love that you're incorporating it with Zoom and speakers. How can I help you? What can I do to help further that podcast? Oh, are you talking? Anthony? Sorry, you muted.
You got people walking around the office here. Go
ahead. I was like, I cannot hear you. So, you could be reaching out, and so I would probably reach out to the people and say, hey, I actually know someone that's looking for a home, or hey, I'm actually looking for a home in the future. Let's talk. Or hey, Anthony, I actually know someone that would be really great for your shows and what you're doing with Tag Team. Let me connect you. Or hey, I heard about this event. I think you guys would be perfect for it and really interested. That's how I like to add value, just off the bat, and then try to find that connection and turn that connection and be like, oh, we had this in common. Let's keep talking. Let's connect on Instagram. Let's support each other and repost. Woo!
Yes, I love that. So for those of you that maybe aren't familiar, in the chat function of Zoom, you could chat to everyone or you could chat to a specific person. So that's a great option there. And then while you're on, make a point to see who else is there. And even if you didn't get a chance to message them or anything, at least find them on social, say, hey, and then you could reach out to them later and build that connection. It's amazing what a couple little chats here and there and comments on a social media post can do for those types of connections, right?
Oh yeah, and that's part of that. And so that's like step 4 is showing up. So congratulations, you did it, you made it. And then step 5 is follow up. Like my friend Helen says, the fortune's in the follow up.
Yes.
And the follow up doesn't mean just like DMing me, which you should. You can DM me, feel free to DM me. But it should also be you DM me, and then you repost some of my content, and then you connect me with someone. That's all following up, right? Like those are all different types of following up. Or maybe you send me a cool, like I haven't gotten more wax yet, but I used to send these out with a little wax seal from Networking Maverick. And I used to send those out because this looks very cool. Like it's very different and stands out in terms of marketing. So I used to send those as like thank you letters. So just different ways you can follow up and be creative.
Okay. So if you're doing a one-on-one, let's say you take this, you did the follow-up, and you get a one-to-one coffee Zoom or coffee in person, whenever that is. Do you have any tips for how to like continue that afterwards, and any tips for the actual meeting?
So for the meeting, I would say be prepared, right? Be prepared. I think that people often plan to, I don't like to call it like, you got to research everyone and stalk them, but I encourage you to research people and stalk them, but in a legal, calm manner. Let's not get arrested and go overboard, right? Like you should research them and see like, what can you do to help them? That's all about adding value, right? What can you do? Who can you introduce them to? Maybe it's just even a new book or a podcast they'd be interested in, or an event. It's so easy to know like all these Zooms going on and be like, hey, I saw this event. I haven't seen you in a while. Here you go. Let me know if you like it. Or, hey, I'm actually going to this event and I know the speaker. I'd love to introduce you because I think it would be a great connection. You have a lot of synergy. Boom, I've connected you. Right? That's how you keep growing up and building and adding value and staying top of mind with those people. And then eventually, hopefully the idea is your net captures more and more connections within your niche, and it becomes more valuable, and you can then turn it into your net worth, right? So just constantly following up. I think, like you said, some people respond to the 3rd post you make. I think it's on average 3 touches that it takes to get someone to respond. So in this case, 3 touches would be 3 times you've reached out and added value. A lot of times I just repost people's things and I shout them out in the community on my Instagram or Facebook, because people want more exposure, right? People want to feel like their voices are heard. And if you believe in what they're posting, why not just post it? It literally costs no money, and it's super quick to just be like, share.
Yeah, it's super easy, and people really love it. Like they feel good when you do that for them, right? Yeah. So I think it's really nice. There's a question here. We have, the fortune is in the follow-up, my new mantra. What are the tools you use to help strengthen your follow-up? And I am currently working on consistency in my follow-up. So what do you use? Do you use anything to keep track? Are you using a CRM?
So I actually have several different CRMs. It depends on the business that I have. So HubSpot is the one we use for our law firm. I think HubSpot's very good, and it also has like the calendaring function. I also use Calendly as that. I have Practice Panther that we use as well to keep track of cases, like for the actual cases and clients on that side. What else? Oh, I have an email marketing system that I use through MailerLite that allows us to do landing pages and marketing funnels. And keep track of the audience that way. I used to have, what's it called? Not SurveyMonkey. Oh my God.
MailChimp?
MailChimp. I was like, it's a monkey of some kind.
Yeah.
MailChimp. I switched to MailerLite. I'm happy with MailerLite. I like it. It's user friendly, which is why I switched to it, so that I could manage it more myself. And it's pretty affordable. But I hear people love Kajabi and Constant Contact and all those as well. So those are all different functions. I also use Asana, Slack. I actually just got exposed to Monday. I don't know if you guys have heard of Monday.
Nope.
That's a new one. That's a great one. I actually really love it. Someone I just worked with, they used it, and I was the client, and I was like, this is great. Like the functionality is so cool. It integrates with everything.
Is it like a Trello type thing?
It's like a Trello. It's like a Trello, but even more user-friendly and like functional. I would say, I guess it depends on what you're using it for, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, I really loved it. I had never heard about it, but I'm looking into using it now because I just loved it so much.
Lauren, what type of systems are you using for your Instagram? You have a heavy following, and I'm sure you're getting DM left and right. What's your CTA or call to action for all those DMs?
Well, so my call to action is usually when I have events, right? So like if I have events or I'm promoting something or I'm promoting someone else, I just say, hey, this is someone new in our community that we're trying to help them. Just follow them and reach out to them. In terms of systems, right? There's no real system in that allows you. So my biggest following is Instagram. My biggest following is on Instagram. I have a big, I don't know, some thousands on LinkedIn, I think, and maybe a couple thousand on Facebook, something like that. But I have like 20,000, I think, on Instagram. And so that's the one where it takes the most time for me to manage, and I put the most time into it. And with that, if you don't have something like a website, if you just have like a link tree where you can put different links to what you're doing on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, that's important just so your community knows what you're doing. The call to action, I guess if you want to call it a call to action, which I guess most people would, is like the freebies I give out. So like the pocket guide that I dropped in the comment, I have a Networking Maverick pocket guide. I have the Instagram growth guide. And I have a few freebies that are just out in the community. And so whenever I see someone, if I see like, oh, they actually need help with networking, I'm like, hey, here's a free pocket guide, sign up. Let me know if you have questions. Here's the YouTube series I created that goes 20 minutes deep diving into each one of the steps. So you don't even have to ask me questions if you want to watch this, but if you do, reach out to me. I'm here for you. DM me, call me, whatever. So those are my call to actions, is freebies. And then that can go into capturing your email sequence. And then monthly, I give a Networking Maverick monthly subscriber list. And I highlight people in the community. I highlight businesses. I do event reviews and events that I liked and what they were good for and who I think they were good for. I have the YouTube series that goes into different techniques I feel like is beneficial for people to learn about, mental attitude, how to present themselves, critiquing, stuff like that. I'm actually getting back into YouTube, doing more interviews now because people tended to like the interviews a lot. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. But I would say at least have a freebie. And that's part of the adding value, right, is giving out a valuable freebie.
Yeah. I think that, Anthony, you have a lot of freebies you've been building out lately.
I asked that question because I'm all about content and adding value, and I love Gary Vee, and I'm assuming you're pushing all of that to HubSpot. I use HubSpot as well. So that's awesome. I mean, that's stuff that agents should be doing on a daily basis. It's taxing, and it's a whole full-time job. You're talking about managing hats or wearing hats. That's a hat in itself, but it works. And
no, we use that term a lot because she's actually wearing a hat.
This is my networking hat. This is my the white hat.
But no,
I love it.
Fortune is in the follow-up. I love that. That
yes.
Is badass line.
Yes.
And that's actually, so that's my friend Helen Bella Basilone, which I think Melinda might know.
Yes, I do. I do know Helen.
She's written a couple books on networking and tap and grow rich and all this stuff. So that's actually her quote. And when I read her book and I read about her because I interviewed her, I was like, I love this phrase. I'm all about this phrase.
That's cool. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So, we do the one-on-one coffee meeting, right? My personal thing is like, who do you want to meet? And that's the question I always ask when I do a one-on-one, and I try to connect them with somebody else, at least a few people. That's usually what I try to do as much as possible, because like I become like, that's my thing, like connecting people. So, and also because I can't always give the lead right back. You know what I mean? Especially in the real estate industry, how many I obviously get a lot of referrals from real estate agents. I can only generate so many referrals the other way. You know what I mean? So how else can I support and help the agents that refer to us grow, or the lenders that refer to us grow? So that's one way that I do it. Who do you want to meet? And so I do the introductions, but I actually, after that, sometimes, unless we're connected or I know somebody, I kind of like like move on to the next one, and I don't always nurture.
Mm.
And it's because I have my clients are in one CRM. Do I build another CRM out? And yes, I need to build another CRM out because I can't mix the connections with the actual clients.
Oh yeah.
So I've been fighting that for a while, and I've just been building a very, very, very long Excel spreadsheet, knowing that one day I'm just gonna have to figure out and build something else that I just haven't gotten there yet. So
Definitely. And I think email, I feel like people underestimate email marketing, or they think that email marketing is not necessary. I would say if you have an email list, you own that. You don't own your Instagram. You don't own your Facebook. You don't own your LinkedIn. What you do own is that email list that you've built and the connections you made. So putting that together and capturing it in whatever CRM you have is important. And an easy way to add value every month is to send out just a monthly newsletter. You don't have to send it out every day or every week. I send it out monthly, and sometimes I don't send it out every month. Sometimes, I'm like, oh, I'm too busy, whatever. But I try to send it out monthly. I try to send out information that's valuable. I try to highlight people in the community, and that then you're still staying top of mind. And you can even do, if you want to be ambitious, 2 different mailing lists, right? You can within your like a MailerLite or MailChimp, you can actually toggle different streams, and you can say, well, this newsletter is going to highlight one person in the community and talk about real estate, and that goes to this sector. And this one, I'm only dealing with realtors. So instead, I'm going to highlight a realtor and then also have the real estate information. So you can just make a small change and reuse the same content, which Gary Vee is very big on, right? Reusing content. You can just use a small change and still have 2 newsletters go out to 2 different audiences that you're targeting specifically. It's very simple.
Awesome. That's a super important thing that you said, is that we don't own our followers in that way. And it's so true. The point of social media is, in terms of the marketing business sense, is really to pull that follower out of social media into a mailing list, into a meeting, into something else, right? To take it out of online, or take it out of Zoom, right? Maybe it's from social media to like following to a DM, to a virtual meeting, to adding to the mailing list, and a couple, a couple introductions, is like taking them out of that. And so your opt-ins and your freebies are one great way, asking them to be added to a mailing list. It could be as simple as that. Like, have you guys gotten my email? If you didn't, drop your email below. I see people doing it all the time, and I guarantee you they get people who put their emails in there.
Of course.
So you just got to make it valuable and not just.
Tracy has a question here on Facebook. She says, what are the tools that you
I already asked that question, Anthony.
But here's something that, all right, you probably did. I'm not paying
attention. I read that. That's the only question we've gotten so far. That's the question I asked for Facebook.
But here's my question on that though. For tools, we talked about HubSpot. That CRM in itself does everything in terms of following up. But there's something that we just developed. I got this from Melinda as well. Is that we just literally came out with service level agreements, and we put that on paper. So we're doing the old school method as well, putting things on paper and saying, all right, who's going to follow up with this client after the first point of contact? So it's not just systems, and you're talking to someone who's obsessed with systems. That is something that is important that everyone needs to understand, is back to basics and implementing systems as well. That's like the combination, the deadly combination.
Definitely. And I think so systems, when we talk about systems, it's systems or physical things. You can have a computer, but it's also how you implement systems and procedures with people in your company, right? Because that's a system. Your procedures for handling things are technically a system, right? It's not something you programmed, but it is a procedure that everyone in your company that you're delegating tasks to has to follow. And if you're someone that is not putting those procedures in place, like having weekly meetings with your staff about how you're following up, or delegating your social media tasks and reviewing them monthly, if you don't put those procedures in place, you're probably going to let it fall by the wayside, right? Because you want to delegate, you need to delegate if you're going to have any growth. People that don't delegate die, right? If people that don't adapt die, you have to do it.
That's another one.
You
don't delegate, die. I go, if you don't adapt, you die.
Yep, exactly. If you don't adapt, you die. If you don't delegate, you die. It just, you're gonna waste away. You're gonna be, I don't want to do another Facebook and Instagram post. Why? And you're gonna not want to do it, right? So you can delegate. You can even delegate if you're not good at business development. There are people whose job it is to do that for you, right? You know, you can hire someone that's a business development person because you don't necessarily have the, you know, personality, or you want to spend time behind the scenes with the actual product, whatever it is. Just be careful who you're hiring, right? You got to be careful of who you're bringing in to your business. But there are people that do that you can delegate little by little to. So it's very, very.
I love that.
I love printing things out as a lawyer. We try to be as paperless as possible, but I still love having briefs, tabbing things, getting my research, highlighting it, because I just like having it in front of me. I do it on screen now with virtual hearings. I just had a trial last week, and evidentiary trial obviously is like tons of documents. I had to really put it together on PDFs and mark things up and give it to witnesses, and that's all systems too. So you just gotta put in the time for it.
Well, that's definitely a project.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So as we're wrapping up, guys, if you have questions, I just want to make sure that you can ask questions. Make sure. Oh, I got one more question here. Let's see. What do you utilize Fiverr or Upwork for tasks? That's what we got.
Ooh, yes. So not only is my firm on Upwork, so I actually, when we first started, I found out my Upwork is still there. I didn't even remember. But I put myself on Upwork as a person to hire. And I recently found out that I'm still on Upwork, which I need to take that down. But I also do utilize, I don't utilize Fiverr as much as I do with Upwork, but I do love them. I love them as hiring. If you want to delegate, you know, small tasks or create, you know, like these opt-ins. There are people whose job you can hire to develop opt-ins for you, or webinars, or help you create them, or help you implement systems. All those people are on Upwork. Fiverr, I don't know why I view Fiverr as like lower end. I don't know why I view it like that. Fiverr I would go to if I wanted to put together IKEA furniture, if that makes sense. Like that's how I view Fiverr, is like more like tasks like that, where I view Upwork as more like higher level. I don't know why. I don't know if that has to do with their marketing. That's just how I think about it, but I have used them. I've used both of them. I think I used Fiverr actually to fix my cabinets, my cabinetry, to have someone come in and fix that. So, you know.
I didn't even know you could use it for in-person tasks. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
I want to emphasize utilizing technology, just while I have a soapbox.
Yeah.
That I feel like people have now seen, because of COVID, how important it is to utilize technology, to have a social media presence, to have an email list, to be able to function, have a website. But the future is in technology. My husband works in VR and AR, and I can tell you, especially in the real estate field, that's going to become, when it becomes affordable, that's going to be the cutting edge of showings and houses, right? Because foreign investors and people abroad that can't necessarily make it to an open house, if you can put together a actual VR of them, or an augmented reality where you can walk through it. They already have it on computers, right? Where you can walk through a 3D on a computer, but imagine actually being able to feel it and hear the sounds and look around the neighborhood and walk down a street. That's going to be the future. I'm not saying you need to invest in it now, but just be thinking about how you can implement that, how your niche will respond to that, how you can just prepare yourself, because that really is the future, in my opinion.
Another question.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good question from
Very
iPhone
good.
because they didn't put their name.
Oh, thank you, iPhone.
It says, I find it hard to rid myself of that fear of being judged with regards to doing YouTube, IG Live, etc. What do you recommend for this? I'm my own worst critic. I think everyone could relate to that for sure.
Everyone can relate to that. So let me tell you, I got bullied so much growing up, right? Like I was always a curvy queen, but I wasn't always a confident curvy queen. And I've always just had, like, you know, I was tall. I was this size. I'm 5'9" and size 14, 16, depending on what day, since I was like, I don't know, 14 years old. So I have been bullied my whole life. And the only thing that made it better was having confidence in myself to get outside my comfort zone. The magic is when you get uncomfortable and you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? That's where the magic happens. And I actually have a client who's now crushing it. She doesn't do YouTube videos. She started, or actually I think she's going into YouTube now, but she started just with Instagram videos. It's so easy, honestly, and they go away if you want. The Instagram videos, it's so, you can do a live and it goes away and no one ever has to see it again. Or you do a story and it goes away and no one has, I mean, maybe someone will support it. Don't put any nudity on there, please. But you know, it'll go away. So YouTube, I feel like people gets more scared with YouTube because it's so official, right? You had to put together a YouTube video and edit it, and you put blood, sweat, and tears into making it look beautiful, and maybe invested in technology, and you put it out there and 2 people like it. And you're like, no, I'm a failure, right? I have videos that have thousands of views, and I have videos that have hundreds of views. I have videos that have like 50 views. It doesn't matter. The importance is consistency and confidence, right? If you're consistent and confident and you keep going forward, your voice and what your message is will resonate with someone. And even if you help one person, it makes a difference, right? Even if you reach one person, you've done something, and you're going to get more confident as you do it. This person that was my client, they are now super confident. They actually invested in equipment and a camera and a mic, and they're like, oh, you know, I had a Yeti mic, but now I'm looking into these other mics, and they're super into it because people ended up really liking it, you know. And the first couple ones are always a disaster. The first couple, if you look at my YouTube series and you see the quality, how it changed from, like, I had originally an iPad and I think a blue Yeti mic, because that's what Sebastian had, right? My husband, because he does videos. And it was like, okay, it was fine. But then if you see when we invested in like an actual camera and a mic and then that graphics and motions, and it's like, whoa, it's high quality. But that took a lot of time. That wasn't my first couple, right? And it's a lot of takes, and you just got to stay with it and stay consistent and confident. And let me tell you, you're going to have haters no matter what you do, right? You've heard like the haters give me life, and like the haterade, you drink that haterade, well, I drink it and it gives me life, whatever. And you are going to have haters. I saw people comment on my videos like, oh, what's up with your eyebrows? Like, what? Do my eyebrows bother you that much that you had to make a comment? But hey, because you commented, it's going to rank my video higher, and I'm going to comment on your comment, it's going to rank me higher. So the haters are helping make my videos viewable, right? You just got to think of it like that and be resilient, but consistency and confidence for sure. And little by little, 1% every day, work towards it. That's it. Just little steps.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great, I wrote down, the magic happens when you get comfortable getting uncomfortable. I say that a lot too in a different way, but I love that. And it's a really good, you have two good quotable things from today. So that's pretty cool.
Always be connecting. Don't forget about that. That's my favorite.
Yes. Oh,
that's
yes.
my favorite.
There you go. I forgot about that one.
Always be connecting.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, we're wrapping up our show.
And thank you for the question, whoever that was. And don't forget.
Yeah, that was a good question. It was Veronica. She disclosed her name afterwards.
Oh, Veronica. Thank you, Veronica. Good question. So, don't forget, drop your links if you haven't already. Drop your links so everyone can connect. Don't forget, you can save the chat with the three dots in the chat. You can save the chat at the end. So everyone drop links so you can connect with each other.
Yeah, that's great. And then also, just so you guys know, she just changed. I think she just changed her iPhone. There's a way you can't connect if people don't know your name, right? So she just changed her name. That's great. I was just gonna tell everybody, when you log on, if it doesn't show your name, there's a way to do that by when you hover over your picture. There's 3 dots and there's options there, and you can rename it to whatever you like, your name or something else. But it's a great strategy when there's a lot of people, so people can see your name.
Yep. And if you're afraid to take a video because you didn't want to put on makeup or something, let me tell you that Zoom has a feature. I mean, I am wearing makeup, so this is not a feature, but Zoom has a feature. If you go next to stop video and you do the little arrow and you go to video settings, one of the options is touch up my appearance.
What?
Yeah. So I don't wear makeup a lot of times in my Zoom. I wear my glasses or whatever. And so I just use to touch up my appearance, and no one ever knows. And it makes me feel more confident just knowing that, like, it's a little blurred. It's fine. We're good.
Hold on.
God, don't tell us about this.
Where is this? Zoom has a filter, people. I need to know. Where exactly is this again?
We can actually, I'll show you what the difference is. So in next to stop video, you have the up arrow. So click the up arrow, at least on mine. So I'm on a MacBook Pro. I don't know if it's different on everyone's Zoom, but so mine is next to stop video, and then I go into video settings. And then in video settings, under mirror my video, so like mirror your video means you can flip it like that, right? You can flip it if you just feel like this is your better side. But if not, this is just the normal side. You can do widescreen and all these things, but one of them is touch up the appearance. So this is what I look like non-touched up. Hello, welcome. But then you can do touch up. Boom. Beauty blur.
Huh. Look at that.
So it's not as big of a difference because I'm wearing makeup, but trust me, it really makes me feel a little, just that tiny bit more confidence for my 6:30 a.m. BNI meetings. And whenever I have morning calls or you know, court calls, it just makes you feel a little bit better. So there you go. Good pro tip for the queen.
Cool.
The
There you
kings
go,
too.
Veronica.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. We've had some great feedback here also on Facebook. One of our guests here was saying, I just launched my realtor YouTube page yesterday. So nervous to do a post with me actually in it. You can do it. You can do it.
Do it scared. Do it scared, girl. Just
Yes.
We're all queens building our queendoms. Let's support each other.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, share Damage Control, connect with the other people on the show, reach out to Networking Maverick, download her book, download the chat. What else? Remember, fortune's in the follow-up. Always be connecting. Magic happens when you get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. And that's your takeaway for today.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon. All right.
Well,
Bye.
thank you so much.
Bye.